Welcome everyone to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. Today I'm going to take a look at and cover a book from a very good friend of mine, Sam J. Royale. At least I hope he considers me a friend. Um, I love the guy. We've talked several times. Someday I'm going to hang out with him in person. And this is his new book, PARIAH. So I've already covered his book, Dishoom, on my channel, which is an excellent anthology series. And PARIAH is a book that he created as a series of segments that I believe came out in Next Panel Press as sort of just like, which is their form for just kind of putting things out in like almost like a strip style format. And as you can see, this is like really tiny. So here's an amazing comic book by our friend Tony Farrow. But you can see the size of a regular comic book and then the size of PARIAH, which is fun. You know, Sam really likes to make things in different sizes and formats. And he makes them in accessible sizes. So a lot of people like to play with different formats, but sometimes they'll just make these giant magazine or bigger size things. Like Sam J. Royale's stuff, you can just take anywhere with you, which is great. And this is almost like CD style. In fact, he'll sometimes hand out these like almost like little CD booklets of individual stories in these as a way to kind of help promo the book. So this is all 5 episodes of PARIAH in one volume. You can still get it now on his website, and you absolutely should. One thing I want to kind of talk through regarding Sam and his work is that Sam is a graphic designer, truly. I mean, he is an amazing visual artist through and through, and he really knows how to deliver a product. He knows how to lay things out and just make it just so professional. So he is like one of the top independent artists, I think, in the business right now. And but look at this. This is like highbrow quality. So a lot of his chapter segments are kind of broken up into these really interesting sort of digital paintings or whatnot. And maybe it wasn't all digital. I know he does some work on the paper, but a lot he does digitally because he needs to we have to work fast sometimes, and that's just what you got to do. He has a way of being able to work where it doesn't look digital. In fact, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between his painting on a live product versus a digital product. So yeah, all the chapter segments have these like cool kind of like poetic visual and text formats that break up the chapters. And this is just a character who breaks out of a cell, doesn't really know much about himself, has amnesia, and he's just on this planet, and he takes off with this axe in hand, and he's a bunny. And he's just like in his head, he's just kind of talking. I don't want to bend this too much, so I'm sorry. He has this like inner voice that's just really interesting, and even the chapters themselves are kind of broken up into these segments that are like these primary ideas that are coming into his head. So for him right now, he's trying to consider what is the plural of moose. This lettering is amazing, excellent imagery. And so again, these segments are broken up into these cool, visual depictions that usually the words have to do with the subject matter. So right now, as he's escaping, in his mind, he's just like, what is the plural of moose? Moose plus moose equals mooses. Meese. Mooses. Mouse. So, and he's considering that in his mind. Sam's visual style. I've had him on my channel a couple times, and he has talked about those early Batman cartoons from Bruce Timm being a major influence on the way that he colors, the way that he forms his figures, and you can certainly see that in this work 100%. It's so cool. But in all of his work, and that's what makes his style so much more unique and different than most independent artists out there, because he puts so much emphasis into his textures, into his composition. It's just brilliant. He has an incredible story language that's all his own. It's completely unique. And here we get Pariah being um, intercepted by this guy with a gun, and each one of these items, it's like these are really insights into what's going on into his head. So this guy calls them bunny ears. So it's the first. It seems like it's almost like the first time he's like, "What, bunny ears?" And it's just his words echo in my mind. Words have power. Words can hurt, and you just can kind of feel what the onslaught is inside of his brain, and kills the guy. It takes his keys and then ends up taking his ship and takes off. I love his ship. I love how it's all like profile. In a way, I would almost compare Sam J. Royale to Wes Anderson, the film director, because he can have these like straight on profile shots, which any other artist might be considered kind of boring, but he does it so well because Sam, again, lays everything out on the page. Each panel in itself is like a master painting. And we start getting to some deeper visual elements. Now with Sam, the storyline is not necessarily the main thread. There's this interweaving he does between the plot and the visual symbolism that he uses throughout his work. So I've heard him talk about deep greens and reds are actually a very important aspect of being able to represent duality and polarity. And I'm actually feeling like maybe Sam is just way even over my head, even with my esoteric leanings, because whenever he messaged me, he definitely said, "I'm very curious to see what you would think because of our shared non-comic interests." He's talking about like esoteric and occult symbolism and stuff like that. And I'm reading this and I feel like, Sam, if you're watching this, I'm a little frightened because I'm like, what am I not catching? What is he expecting me to catch that I haven't been able to tag a hold of? But I mean, just look at the visual acuity, and how stark the imagery is here. Just blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. So I'm not going to get too deep into the story, and I'm not even going to finish flipping through this because I absolutely don't want to spoil it, and I want everybody else to go out there and take a look and take a gander. So I actually I handed this over to my wife to look at, but I had an excerpt of this particular item, and I couldn't find it for this video at the moment because I think she put it with some of our other stacks of books and stuff, because she always likes Sam's work too. And that's when you've got a great comic artist, is when both male and female genders, or just all genders, and for whatever you choose, can enjoy it. This one in particular rung true for me, and I'm hoping this is what Sam was referring to, because you get him testing out this kind of butterfly sort of contraption, and he's flying, and he has some lights on it, and then encounters this couple that are like, oh, "Did you see that?" and flying away in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. This is 100% a reference to Mothman, and that Pariah was mistaken for the Mothman at that point. But he's just like testing out some like new equipment that was in that ship. So fun segment. He made a little pit stop on Earth. It looked like totally 100% dug that, of course, because in the Mothman sightings, often people would be driving on the road and they would see these dark red glowing lights, and they would think that it was the eyes of the Mothman, as you can see here. But really, it was just Pariah, and it wasn't his eyes. It was these, lights that were coming from the actual contraption. Just brilliant work, Sam. So, and then we get into the bull, and we get into some heavy mercury symbolism, like alchemical symbols start showing up, and an association with the bull, which is itself a huge symbol in spiritual and esoteric lore. The bull is actually a symbol that's one of like the probably like one of the founding principles. We got this Paul Bunyan, you know, reference here as well. But most ancient cultures worship some sort of cow or bull symbol, and if you look at our I don't want to write on his thing, but if you look at our letter A, even in the English language, and then you turn it upside down, you get what's kind of like maybe like the head of a bull and its horns. But that letter A actually, came from numerous letters from Hebrew and Akkadian, and I can't remember how they all look right now. The primary letters, the first letters, and all of those alphabets all kind of stem back to looking exactly like this. And like the original way in which it was kind of like written in some of the most ancient languages, it was actually like it was a bull head. And I think, if I remember correctly, it stems all the way back to. So the bull has a very strong connection to spiritual currents, because language, is the primary mechanism for magic in the occult. That's why Alan Moore talks about that a lot, that it is the magical spells are cast through writing and language and art. That's how you do it. It's not like dressing up in robes and blah, 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 and waving wands. This is how you change reality. This is how you change people's minds. And so there's a lot that like goes into this, and I don't want to bore everybody, but I want everybody to go out and buy this. Sam J. Royale, I'll have a link to his stuff, and this is one of the first drawings ever of Pariah. Man, this guy and bunnies. Rabbits are kind of Sam J. Royale's spirit animal, totem animal, I would say. And they've got a lot of spiritual significance themselves as well. Cannot express enough how much I loved this book. I actually will pull it out and read it frequently, as I do many of Sam's books. He's an inspiration to me. I wish I could color as well as he could. I wish I had the ability to construct and compose a page as well as he does. He's got a steady rhythm. He's enjoyable. He's fun, and he's got some panache. Pariah's got panache. Well, that's it for this, ladies and gentlemen. Go out and buy Pariah. Thank you so much for watching. I have links to my own stuff in the chat or in the description as well, but go buy Pariah first. All right, everyone. Stay safe out there and keep it psycho.